What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Magic for Life podcast. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson. I'm a ballroom dance professional, a life coach, and a peak performance expert. I'm part of a group of motivated people who are dedicated to attaining emotional mastery and unlocking our full potential. We don't believe others are responsible for how we feel. In fact, we don't believe anyone can make us feel anything. We believe in the magic of ballroom dance. It has taught us how to improve our bodies, challenge our minds, and inspire our souls. And in return, I want to share those lessons with the world. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast. I'm so glad you joined me today, and just wanted to touch base with you today about a few things that are pretty cool. Talk about them over the course of a few episodes as well. But I'd like to start off just bringing up an easy concept of something I learned to be called submodalities or modalities. Something I learned a long time ago in neurolinguistic programming, and just thought I'd share with you a little bit about it today. Obviously we have our senses, and the senses that we utilize to learn and to live and operate with are massively important. So what do you have? You have your eyesight, right? The sense of sight and the sense of sound. You have the sense of feeling, and of course your smell and your taste. And these are all senses that we have. And of course, if you believe that once you can combine them all together, you have a sixth sense, sort of an ability to combine them all together and operate at a higher function, a higher level. But I wanted to talk to you about the primary three. Now, obviously, we can learn and teach our bodies things through sense and through smell and through taste, but those ones are a little bit harder, right? And although they're very powerful, they're a little harder to operate with in a typical learning environment. And so oftentimes we have to bank on the other three, which is I like to call them VAK, right? The technical terms are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, right? And that's easier to remember. So VAK is something you'll hear me say. And I'd like to talk a little bit about those learning styles. And now oftentimes when you get kids in a learning environment, if you're teaching them in a modality that isn't their primary mode of learning, then you'll run into troubles. They'll have a hard time. They might have a difficult time learning and picking it up. And that's pretty classic. I mean, by now, if you're an educator, you've probably heard this, and if you haven't, you ought to dig in a little bit deeper. But the idea is simple. If I'm teaching somebody visually and they're primarily a kinesthetic learner, that means they've got to get their hands on it. They've got to feel it. They've got to touch it. They've got to be able to experience that education through some type of learning. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't learn visually. It just means that might be their primary, and they might need the visual side of it to back it up, or the auditory side of it to back it up. Conversely, if your primary is hearing and sound and being able to auditorily learn that subject or that idea, then you have to be able to do that first and then maybe back it up with one of the others. Now, obviously, a good sound knowledge of something comes from being able to do multiple versions of your senses to learn something. And so I encourage you guys out there to think about that. It's pretty simple. It's a simple concept, not too hard to understand. If you're teaching somebody and they seem to be visual, then show it to them. Show them what it is that you're doing. But if they tend to be auditory and you're trying to jam it down their throat, showing them, then that doesn't work very well. And or if they're kinesthetic, sometimes trying to show them visually when they just need to get a feel for it is important. Now, listen to their language. Talk to people that you're educating or that you're teaching, because I'm sure there's somebody in your world and in your life that you are teaching, whether it be your children or whether it be your friend that you're trying to show how to do something that you learned or how to do in school really easy, and maybe they have a hard time with it. Or whether it's one of my dancers, or somebody in the dancing industry. Sometimes we teach dance to people and we teach them under our own primary style. And so we try to show them visually when really they're auditory. And sometimes we show them auditory, and really they just need to have you get their hands on them and show them how to put their body in the right position. And of course, a good combination of all three will get you some really great success. I even one time through a whole season of coaching and teaching, I even tried the sense of smell as something I could use to teach and anchor in good principles with. And to some extent it worked, and in other times it didn't work. So, I've even experimented with a lot of those things. But, the primary point for today's podcast was really, I just wanted to introduce this idea of VAK. And I want you to start to get an idea of what your primary styles of learning are. And then start to listen to those people around you when you're talking to people. Listen to how they speak. If they speak with more auditory words, like, oh yeah, I hear you. Maybe that's something you talk back with them to, or you try to get them the information that you're trying to get across in an auditory way. But if somebody says, oh yeah, I feel you, man, then maybe you go that route and you start talking in a more kinesthetic way. Maybe likewise, if they say, oh, I see what you're saying, which is kind of an interesting thing to say, because we're talking about something auditory, but they're talking about what they see. So I want you to think about that. I hope this is, it's just a quick short message today. Just wanted you to get in and think about this idea of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, because honestly, this is going to help you a ton. I do talk about it in the upcoming book, and that's kind of what inspired me. Was I'm just sitting there editing my book right now and getting it ready for publication. And we were talking about this idea in the book, and I thought, gosh, what a fun thing to talk about. If you're interested in getting the book, let us know. Send us a quick email. We'll have some pre-order stuff pretty soon, so hopefully a bunch of you will be interested in picking it up. It's going to be a life changer. We're so excited to get it out and released, and we've got some aggressive goals to get it out to you as soon as we possibly can. But let's start with that. Start with just taking a look at your learning styles and trying to figure out the words and the languages that you use, and start to pay attention and listen to the things that people use around you. So hope that helps, and hope it's something fun to do for you today. Enjoy the podcast, and as usual, if you know somebody this podcast would be great for, or you think they'd like it, please share it with them. On many of the formats, like on iTunes or on Spotify or even Google Podcasts, there's a way for you to share it with somebody else. So click that share button and share it with somebody that you think it would help, and we'd love you to help somebody else with some of this stuff if you think it would be valuable to them. Anyway, we love you. We're so grateful for all of your listeners out there, and pass it on, share it on social media, put it on Instagram or Facebook, and let us know that we love it, or that you love the podcast. And of course, if you want to do some cool hashtag or something, do Magic for Life, hashtag Magic for Life. That'd be awesome. We'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
Are you loving Magic for Life? Please like and share our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Want more magic for your life? Join me for some great Facebook Lives on the official Facebook page at Michael A. Johnson Official.